On February 5th, 2026, 31 different organizations, including the New York Mets, petitioned a proposal to the MTA to extend the G train to Forest Hills. Here's what you should know. The only thing New Yorkers take more personally than their city and their sports teams is their local subway, notably Queens and Brooklyn's own G train. In 1933, the route was created under the IND, one of New York City's 3 original competing train companies, which was tasked with connecting underserved communities. The route was designated as GG, with the intent to better connect the 2 major hubs of Brooklyn and Queens without going through Manhattan. Throughout its history, the G has undergone multiple route changes, sometimes terminating in Jamaica 179th Street, Queens Plaza, Court Square, Coney Island, the World's Fair, and the aforementioned Forest Hills 71st Avenue station. Even until today, the G remains the only non-shuttle subway service to not go through Manhattan. Because of this, the G train faces scrutiny both from the MTA and its local users. In 2001, the G train ran from Smith 9th Street to Forest Hills, but was quickly reduced back to Court Square following the introduction of the new V train, which served from 2nd Avenue Station in the Lower East Side to Forest Hills 71st Street via the Queens Boulevard line. In addition, due to budget cuts in 2010 and lower ridership, the number of train cars along the G was reduced to having 4 to 5 cars, with service to Forest Hills being discontinued indefinitely. To those who aren't from New York City or are just overwhelmed by what all this means, let me break it down. The Queens Boulevard line, or QBL for short, is a series of underground tunnels built in the 1920s by the city of New York to facilitate urban growth in Queens and serve a quicker, direct route to Manhattan. The tunnels consist of 4 main tracks, 2 towards Queens and 2 towards Manhattan, with an express and local path. Today, it remains one of the busiest corridors in the entire city, running 24/7 with 256,000 daily riders. And with an official rule to keep workers safe, train frequency must be kept at a maximum of 15 to 18 trains per hour, meaning adding more trains to the corridor may prove difficult. Prior to 2001, only 4 trains ran on the QBL, the E, F, G, and R trains. But following the introduction of a 5th train, the V train, on weekdays, the G had to be reallocated to weekends only, preventing overcrowding and keeping frequency at an acceptable level. As frequency dropped, so did ridership. And this, combined with the MTA's financial crisis in 2010, led to the G being permanently shortened to its current location, Court Square, with a truncated 4-car set. In 2010, the daily weekday ridership was 116,000 people a day. Along this route, the G serves multiple hotspots and local landmarks, including Long Island City, Greenpoint Avenue, downtown Brooklyn, Barclays Center, and Prospect Park, with transfers available to the 7, A, C, E, F, L, and R trains. Since 2010, the ridership has increased by 50,000 people daily, serving 166,000 people a day due to increased housing and activity around the G train's route. The MTA acknowledged this increased demand by upgrading the rolling stock of the G train with a new open gangway 211Ts and by upgrading the lines with CBTC, a modern signaling system allowing better train management and frequencies. In addition, popular grassroots transit advocacy groups, such as the Riders Alliance and Queenslink, have popularized the idea of returning the G to Forest Hills to better connect Queens and Brooklyn once again, as skyrocket demands. Local representatives had approached the MTA's CEO with such an idea as early as February 3rd, in which CEO Jana Lieber responded,
Okay, so I've heard the message because I've gotten it from a lot of people. There are 2 issues you need to be aware of. One is track capacity. When we're running on the weekends, which is what's being talked about, you've got three services, E, F, and R on the Queens Boulevard line, and we are inevitably doing some work, and it is a problem to try to put yet another line onto a more limited Queens Boulevard line. The proof that that issue is real is that when the G trains still did run to Forest Hills back before 2010, 80% of the weekends it couldn't run because of track work or other work. So it's a real issue. The other issue is ridership, which honestly is we've done a lot of surveys of the Queens Boulevard line riders, and only 3% of them are headed to destinations in Queens. on the weekends. Most of them are going to and from Manhattan. So respectfully, and I understand there's a lot of enthusiasm. We got the message, and we're never going to say never, never, never. But at the moment, those are the issues that are pushing us against not taking this action.
We would still love to
We
see
understand.
it, especially those of us in deep Queens who are trying to get to other parts of Queens. And I know that the IBX is moving forward pending federal funding, of course, always a threat. But we would love to see it explored and to really take it under serious consideration. It would be a huge help to many commuters who are trying to travel between the boroughs.
A perfectly reasonable answer to the representative's question, highlighting the issues of such an extension. When the G train did run to Forest Hills back in the early 2000s, it was seldom running on weekends due to repairs. And as any Brooklyn local knows all too well, even today, the G train is known for completely shutting down for repairs on weekends, leaving residents to rely on a free shuttle bus that the MTA offers. Some notable facts to consider is that, on weekends, the M train does not run along the QBL, as instead replaced by local F and E trains. Some online feel that this absent route gives room for the G in exchange for reduced service of other trains. Additionally, others note the limited fumigation capabilities of Forest Hills. As it is a terminus for the R and M trains, they are often fumigated and cleaned there before they're put back into service, which can take some time. Some feel that without proper fumigation reform, Forest Hills could easily be choked or bottlenecked with an additional G train. However, as the Gs are only 4 to 5 cars in comparison to the standard 8 to 10 of the R and M, others online argue that fumigation will be quicker and not stress the system too much. 2 days after the MTA hearing, a joint coalition of 31 different organizations, including the Riders Alliance, Forest Hill Stadium, New Yorkers for Transportation Equity, and Queens' own baseball team,
The Mets, baby. Love the Mets. All right, baby. Let's go. Get a home run, baby. Love the Mets. Let's go, Mets.
released a letter to New York State Governor Kathy Hochul, New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani, and MTA CEO Jana Lieber, insisting the G be returned to Forest Hills on weekends in an attempt to better connect Queens and Brooklyn and provide easier access to places like LaGuardia Community College, Museum of the Moving Image, LaGuardia Airport, Elmhurst Hospital, and Forest Hill Stadium. Why the Mets? We can't say for sure. But with the upcoming redevelopment of Mets Willets Point and the surrounding area, it seems that they want to maximize accessibility to the area for their upcoming casino, soccer stadium, housing, and public parks, a part of Mets owner Steve Cohen's $8 billion redevelopment program. Although only a hypothetical for now, it paints a good picture for the future of the MTA, as local movements to improve city transit are starting to gain more traction. With projects like the IBX being approved, and NYU's future rail proposal proving incredibly popular with residents and representatives alike, my hopes remain high for a better connected and frequent mass transit network in New York City.